Earlier this year, Clive Barker, the creative force behind Hellraiser, attacked movie critic Roger Ebert's thought that games cannot be art. No stranger to the medium with 2001's solid Undying, Mr. Barker has stepped into the world of games again, this time with Jericho, a squad-based supernatural first-person shooter that spans millennia. He argued that anything, even if it moves your bowels, could be art. But this isn't about if Jericho is art, bowels be damned. This is about if Jericho is a good game.
That's a kill.
Al-Khalid, a buried Sumerian city, houses a deadly secret. The Firstborn, God's first failed creation. For thousands of years it's tried to escape, always banished by a group of 7 mystics. 7 who never return, as a small shred of their world is engulfed into the Firstborn's prison. He's trying to escape again, and Team Jericho, a Sub Rosa paranormal military unit of wizards and witches, is going back to the beginning to end it for good. It's a meaty story, fleshed out by the multiple playable characters and their interactions with each other. But for all its horrific trimmings, it's just not scary. It's weird and intriguing, but the confident cast, brimming with powers and destructive forces, are filled with machismo, not terror, and some of the dialogue is hilariously bad.
I want you to know, when I get out of here, I'm gonna eat your soul.
There's a big stew of gameplay gumbo in what first appears to be a first-person shooter. Soon enough, you and your 6 comrades will lose a member, Captain Devin Ross.
Oh my god, he's fucking dead! What do we do now?
But no worries. Ross may have lost his corporal form, but he still has his captain standing, now as a ghost, who can possess his teammates to use their weapons and powers. This gives you access to over 20 weapons and magic abilities. You can also issue waypoint commands for each team, Alpha and Omega, though you can't choose who's on each team. A lot of this becomes immediately moot. Gaining ground on the macabre enemy's front line isn't rewarding, as monsters spawn behind you. Levels themselves are very short, offer no exploration, and are artificially padded with scores of ghoulies. The enemies aren't completely brain dead, sometimes taking cover and dodging, but their actions aren't reactive, just little scripts they do once in a while. It's not really what you're looking for in a tactical shooter. The on-the-fly character swapping can be a disorienting jump in the heat of battle, and certain characters are much more effective and versatile than others. Most will only be called upon when they are specifically called out for tackling a specific barrier or boss. Bosses are gimmicky but fun diversions, even if your squad mates are constantly telling you how to take them down.
This is our chance!
Get him now!
The game is further punctuated with quick-time events, a la Resident Evil 4, Shenmue, God of War, Heavenly Sword, and just about any other game these days. The difference here is that this is a first-person game, a view that doesn't need anything putting distance between the player and the playable character. It's distracting. Jericho offers a lot of great little design bits and pieces, but it fails to transform into anything cohesive. The levels are short and linear, the battles repetitive, and the abilities end up feeling like artifice.
Have you come to confess your sins, my children?
We were just leaving.
Once you've overcome the game's own antithesis mechanics, Jericho boils down to a first-person shooter. And even here, the game drags. The controls are simply unresponsive for fine shooting. Your teammates need a miracle to take down any of the infernal demon horde, while said horde will almost always beeline to whichever character you're currently possessing. There are some fun experiments with swapping players and applying different powers in quick succession, but it's still disorienting, and ultimately not as effective as sticking with the commando you like. Switching isn't always easy either, especially towards the beginning of the game when you have to run the gamut of almost every power, ability, and gun in a tutorial. The fact that you'll be told to use Abby or Billy is okay, but those are first names, while the selection menus are all done with last names, leaving you scratching your head and going for the instruction manual. It's a small thing, but it's just another slight paid to the player. The sparse and simple puzzles often have their solutions barked at you before the obstacle is even encountered.
There's a lever. I think some telekinesis is in order.
And it can't be stressed enough how out of place the QuickTime events feel, even if they do offer visceral thrills and good feedback. What ultimately drops the game into the quagmire is Resurrection Tag. You have the ability to bring your teammates back to life, so your entire party needs to be wiped out for a game over. This should be a good thing, but your teammates have a knack for getting blown up. So you'll run over, start raising the dead, just to get blown up yourself, forcing you to leap into whoever you just raised for a repeat performance.
Everyone look out! Bullseye!
There are a lot of great-looking models and areas in Jericho, especially the later areas. The dark lighting never detracts from all the bloody ornaments, and the voice acting is good, even if some of the script would be envious of a B-movie.
A blood sigil? That's serious magic.
But the frame rate can move to molasses speed when the action heats up, especially in the PS3 version, and the lip sync can be pitiful at times.
How are these assholes still alive? That was like, what, 70 years ago?
It's an uneven production, to say the least. Jericho is way too ambitious and it hurts on every side. While not broken, it's poorly designed and dull, from spawning enemies making the tactical play irrelevant to a horror story that, despite its charm and intricacies, just isn't scary. Jericho may be art, but not all art is good.